So, hi everybody. My name is Shanila, and I am the founder of Integrative Wellness Leaders, which is a little collective of healers and wellness leaders in physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. And what we do is promote each other through our collective to different events, workshops, and such. And I'm the founder of Always Play Studios. I do breathwork, sound baths, energy healing, and nutrition virtually and in person, which is on pause right now for sure. So today we have a collaboration going on with WellSet, which is the first platform that allows people to book practitioners on the platform. So you can find any kind of practitioner that you want for what it is that you need. So if you're a person who's like in your 20s and you have, a gut health problem and you're pregnant, you can find a practitioner that really suits your nutrition needs for that, or an acupuncture that treats that kind of whatever need that you have. So it's a very narrowed down, niched way to find practitioners, and it's a connective way. So we're partnered with WellSet to do this free series. We were only going to just do it for a week. We just invited kind of our friends and our networks to kind of just share and everything. But because of the demand from the people, some workshops have been having a couple hundred people. Like we had a COVID workshop with 3,000 people coming in, and what we're learning from you is that there's a need for this collective to, share information, for us to get out there, create this community, to be able to chat with each other. So it's really awesome. We get to extend this festival to kind of indefinitely. So we'll see how this goes. And right now, we've got on here without any technical glitches. So that's really awesome. For almost our first. But I will let Alyssa take it away. She is a spiritual entrepreneur, host of Aura Awakening Radio. It's a podcast. You can find it on all the places that host podcasts. And we met because I was a guest on her podcast a couple of months ago, maybe a year or so ago, talking about sound baths. And let us know what you're presenting on and give us the lowdown.
Yes, well, thank you, Shanila, for first inviting me here and bringing this all together. While I kind of give my intro for those that have just popped in, if you want to share where you're from, I'm here in Metro Detroit, Michigan. I was born and raised here, and my podcast, Or Awakening Radio, is actually after we interviewed together, Shanila, it actually slowly became a podcast talking to all of the people in Metro Detroit who are into health and wellness. So I make exceptions for my online friends that I really get close to, which it's been a pleasure to continue our friendship throughout this year. And it really gives me that hope that these internet connections can really happen in real life. And, it's interesting because someone like Shanila and I were both kind of online doing our work in the virtual space. So it's kind of business as usual here, but I'd love to know from you guys how you're feeling, because ultimately we're all here to kind of alleviate stress and to kind of tune inward and take this extra time. So how has this been affecting you? I want to hear from you guys. For me, I recently started working at a yoga studio, and now yoga's closed, but they whipped up so many online videos and are doing Zoom calls. And I want to know, is this your first time using Zoom, or this is something new to you? Because this is something I do all the time. So I'd love to know just more about you guys really quick before I dive in. Today, we're going to do some talking about me, what I do, figuring out Zoom slowly here. Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, but I love that there's so many different features. But one of the features I will be using later on in the call is showing you guys my screen, or send you the PDF to follow along an EFT tapping exercise. And EFT tapping it's just tapping on the different meridians in the body to release energy. And you're going to want to drink some water afterwards. Kind of treat it as if you've gotten a massage, because there is a lot of energy going through. But EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So we'll be repeating some positive affirmations through the tapping. Megan says she loves Zoom and the opportunity to learn and interact. I wouldn't have normally had access to. Yeah, I love that. And it's great that we're, Jenna says, struggling, being outside is everything to me, so face-to-face connection is essential. Yeah, I feel that. I miss my friends and I miss hugs with everybody, but I think the fact that we're still all showing up for ourselves and what we control is the best thing we can do right now. So speaking we can control, and leading into the themes of what the tapping will be about, I throughout this process, even before the quarantine, had started thinking of something called Inner Beauty Alchemy. So, aside from being a holistic life coach, I'm also a professional makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist for over 6 years now. And it's something that I find a lot of interesting things when I'm interacting with my clients, especially around what is going on in the inside and how it's projecting on the outside. I feel like our external and our internal really can be a mirror of each other. So the inner beauty alchemy is kind of my view and my method of my upcoming coaching program called Inner Beauty Immersion, where we really immerse ourselves in our soul and inside who we are and getting to know ourselves. Something that I think the quarantine has really brought up for a lot of people is the fact that, oh my goodness, I don't have any hobbies. I'm so bored. How do I spend all this time with myself, especially if you live alone? And I think there's some times where it's hard to sit with ourselves. It's hard to spend time with ourselves. And throughout our society, when it's normally, uh, everything's normal, we have these different distractions of social gatherings and the gym and all these places to go, things to do, and people to meet when we kind of don't have that anymore and we're stripped down to nothing. What do we have? We have all these gifts and all these things to entertain ourselves and to nourish ourselves from the inside. But going back to what I makeup artistry clients, sometimes we don't feel like we have that inside connection. And if we are not happy with what's on the outside, it's tough to find that internal connection. I hear a lot of things about women saying, oh, I don't like my nose. Can you shape it differently? Oh, I don't like my skin, so red and inflamed. I really don't like my eyes. Can you change that with the makeup? And don't get me wrong, I think makeup is a beautiful creative tool and it definitely is a form of self-care. However, it's very interesting to me when I hear women, especially, I don't know if this is mostly girls in this group, but I feel like women, we're always comparing ourselves and we're always told we have to change what we look like. And it's tough because, especially right now, we might have so much extra time to go on social media and to look at all these people and, maybe sharing pictures of before quarantine on vacation or whatever that may look like. And that it can actually trigger us and that could actually put us in a trajectory to go back into those poor old habits that we had before all this happened, to maybe overeat because we're bored, or you know overindulge in social media or TV and feel lethargic. And I really want you guys to take away from this is the fact that we can, yeah, a lot of triggers, Shanila said. And it can be tough when we do need that face-to-face connection, and in a way that can actually turn into validation. So what I hope that you guys can take away from this is you have the power to validate yourself and to really love your authentic self. But before we even say who we authentically are, we've got to get to know ourselves more. And sometimes that takes a lot of letting go. And part of what inner beauty alchemy is the transformation and the changing and taking the pain that we have of, maybe things that we were told when we were younger about how we look. A part of why I stepped into coaching and what my purpose is today is because I grew up overweight, and that was definitely a deficit throughout my entire life. I remember a very vivid memory of visiting a group of cheerleaders when I was younger, and I lived across the street from a park, so I went over there and introduced myself. I've always been so bubbly and friendly, so I just wanted to get to know some of them. I don't know if they were practicing. I don't know. I was like 7, but I went and said, hey, what does it take to be a cheerleader? And I remember they told me I was too fat to be a cheerleader. And I kind of got a little upset, and I went over and told my mom what they had said to me. And she said, honey, it's okay. Like, we can get you into something else. What about dance classes? And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that. I want to do something and be a part of a community. And although my dance career didn't last that long, and I actually really detached myself from my body for a very long time, I'm now into yoga and ecstatic dance and really moving my body in a way that is liberating and empowering. But I wouldn't have experienced this if I didn't actually go inward and take the personal development journey, which was doing personal development, listening to podcast, talking to other coaches, taking the coaching course that I took. I got to study neuroscience, nutrition, intuition, and mindfulness. And definitely it was a lot of trauma informed themes as well. And I think that the subject of trauma overall, it doesn't have to look like this big event. That event where those girls told me I was too fat was traumatic. It's called big T, little t. It doesn't have to be this big thing. And I think that if we take a look inside our soul and realize, wow, I have been through a lot of traumatic things. How can I turn this into purpose? How can I turn this into something to empower someone else or to love myself more because I'm so strong? And a lot of the negative self-talk that comes up, or comparison or limiting belief, is caused by your own thoughts. So how can we alchemize those thoughts into positive affirmations and really truly loving ourselves? We can say we love ourselves all day long, but if we really don't take action and do things for ourselves that enhances that love, it's not going to happen. And I think that something along with my personal development journey is manifestation. And I'm sure you guys have heard of manifestation. Leave in the comments below if this is something that you might practice, or maybe the law of attraction. But I learned this at a pretty young age, and what I realized was I wasn't declaring myself as worthy to the things I wanted. So I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, but I knew I was into makeup. So I declared, okay, I'm going to find a good beauty school. I'm going to go do makeup. That was exciting at the time after high school. And once I started to get into personal development, I really wanted to be a coach, but I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm 23 years old. So I was like having so many fears of people putting me down for being too young or not having enough life experience to help lead people in life. But I knew that this was part of my purpose because I had so many things that I wanted to share that I just couldn't keep it all inside. So what I did was I created a brand, and it's called Aura Awakening. And the logo is actually a butterfly and a lotus flower hybrid. And I love the two themes of a lotus flower and a butterfly because it really does represent transformation. One of my favorite quotes is no mud, no lotus. If you're not going through the muddy times and the tough things, there is no beautiful outcome. And I think the fact that we do have this time right now to look inward and to spend more time with ourselves, we can come out better on the other side and stronger and more aware. And Marina says, a lot of self-help books help me realize who I am. Yes, that is exactly what we're talking about, is who that person is inside and loving that person for the good, the bad, and maybe not so great. And that's okay. There's so much that I have learned just more about being more self-aware, and it's been able to really not only in my career, but in all aspects of my life. So this inner beauty alchemy idea really is how we can create a ripple effect into all areas of our life. I'm going to kind of go to my sales page here so I can share more info to you guys of what I'm going off of. But another thing I feel like a lot of people may struggle with internally is perfectionism. Put in the chat if you are someone who has perfectionism, because a lot of the times for me, I actually am the opposite of a perfectionist. I would half-ass things sometimes. And I think when you are so passionate about yourself, perfectionist in recovery, yes, when you're passionate about your own growth, you're able to give yourself that grace, because one of my favorite quotes is, you are allowed to be a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously. So that is one of the true ideals that I try to give my clients about who they are and their own worth, is to realize that Rome wasn't built in a day, and you have to give yourself time to really grow and bloom. And I'm always using nature analogies. Megan says, I'm a perfectionist and I get into overanalysis paralysis. Wow, yeah. And I think some of the societal things that happen to us in life cause this perfectionist nature. A lot of times we can also struggle with poor body image, especially with the media and the way we want to feel is transmuted. And what I'm trying to get at is the concept of, I will be happy when I am this. I will be less when I get this. And we're trying to break out of that mindset and to accept who we are right now and enjoy that and liberate that and know that you're allowed to strive for more while still loving yourself in the state you are now. Definitely a lack of purpose can come along with that. I know maybe not all of you guys are entrepreneurs, and maybe this crisis has affected your job. And now you're thinking, now what? What do I do? I've worked the same job for 10 years. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like to do. And I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm very much about Dharma, which is your soul's purpose or your life purpose in Sanskrit. I am a spiritual yogi, babe. So that's something that I've really done a lot of studying on. And the concept of this Dharma, there's two things. There's Swadharma, which is inherent to your nature. And then there's Paradharma, which is nothing that is in your nature. So I knew that my nature was going to be to serve people, to empower them. And I started that by doing makeup artistry. Cool. And then it evolved into something that I was really passionate about when I was younger, which was content creation. I'm a 96 baby, so I grew up on Club Penguin, MySpace, Twitter, all these things that are still around today, but that's why I was able to become an online creator in Instagram. So in your life and how they've set you up for your dharma, and maybe this has come up in different ways, and then you can connect the dots, because I know I was meant to serve and to heal others. So really thinking about the concept of life purpose and how we can maybe take this time to turn some of this anger and disappointment and unknown into a way where we can start to research some of the things we like to do. The coolest thing about the internet, and that I'm so grateful for, is that we have everything we need to know at our fingertips. But you truly know what's best for you on the inside. And part of inner beauty is being in touch with your intuition. Leave in the chat below, do you feel like you're in tune with your intuition? There's so many ways to enhance it, but I think learning about the chakras, which is such a beautiful thing I love to talk about if you guys have never heard of them. It's the energy center wheels in our bodies. And we've got the crown, the third eye, the throat, which I'm using, our heart, which I'm channeling through, our solar plexus at the middle of our stomach, which is our center of like actual power, identity, wisdom, and willpower. So that one's a really important one for me. Below that is the sacral chakra, which is creativity, sensuality, pleasure. And then the base one is the root, and that is security, stability, and survival. And I feel like a lot of us right now are really out of tune with that root chakra. So thinking of ways on how you can alchemize this pain right now into purposefully sparking creativity that is aligned with your identity and is fueled from the heart. And you can express yourself from your ideas, from your brain, and you can share with the collective of everybody online right now. So really thinking of ways that we can ignite this inner self, because we can't see these chakras outside. This energy is within us. So how can we break through and share this energy? Also thinking about the concept of not truly knowing who you are. I know, especially if you grew up in a family who didn't really encourage being yourself or being in touch with your feelings, or maybe you had a partner throughout your life that really dimmed your light, or maybe you consider yourself shy and you're afraid to show your personality. Thinking of these behaviors and understanding, what story am I believing that tells me I'm shy? That tells me I'm not worthy, that tells me I'm annoying and I can't share who I am. And going back into those stories and loving that past version of you so that you can break free from that other person's perception. Something that was so mind-blowing to me that I learned in my coaching course was that the fact that our perception changes us on a cellular level. For example, if you are saying every day right now, I'm not going to be healthy. I feel like I'm developing a cough. I'm so scared. I feel like I'm going to get the virus. Your subconscious is going to hear that, and that's your perception. Boom. something is not going to happen correctly. You need to really have these great thoughts of, I am healthy, I am protected, I am safe, and your cells and your subconscious hears that, and so it shall be. So the things we say about ourselves in our daily life, I am beautiful, I am sexy, I'm abundant. These are things that we can actually create trajectories for. And think about the chakras I just told you. They're going to hear that, and it's almost like watering this beautiful vessel that you are, because the soul has traveled with us for, I at least believe the soul has traveled with us for so many light years. So the fact that we can tune into this soul and really get to know who is behind this soul. I've had so many past life regression memories come up this past year just because I've stepped more into my authentic nature and have stopped holding myself back to be my most exuberant self and to let it all out on the table. Yes, my boyfriend would say mind over matters. He absolutely. Yeah, and our minds are so powerful. So taking this time to tune into the power of our thoughts and how that can change a lot of the trajectory of your future. I want to hear from you guys. How much do you feel like your internal beauty on the outside? Because I know when somebody who feels down on themselves, doesn't feel confident, and they really just don't love themselves, you can see it on the outside. There's so many times where people will tell me, oh my gosh, you're glowing. How are you so happy and positive? And I think the concept of self-love can be a little bit tough, but I know ultimately that we've only got us. We come into this world alone, unless you're a twin, but we come into this world energetically alone. We leave this world alone, and I'm so grateful for my community, my family, my friends. But at the end of the day, this is all we've got. So you have to nourish this person and love them. And thinking of negative self-talk, for example, would you speak to a best friend that way? Of, oh, you look fat today, or gosh, I can't believe that, you're not smart enough. I think our intelligence is sometimes, as women, can be stifled as well. So really catching yourself when you find those moments where you're not really speaking to yourself in a kind way, and actualizing that into, how can I love this past version of me that's hurting? Because hurt people hurt people. And that hurt person inside of you is trying to sabotage this future. There's a lot of layers here. Marina says, yes, that's so true. Sometimes we forget how important self-care is. Definitely. And I think self-care, we really get to explore that right now and understand what this care is that I need. For me, something that came up recently that I really need is breath work. And that's something I haven't done in the past 2 years of my kind of personal development journey. So really learning what sparks that light within you, and you'll know it. I know when I dance and I release these endorphins with movement, I feel invincible and I feel so powerful, and my light shines so bright. I want to hear in the comments below what really sparks your light, and do more of that. What coaching course did you take? Been looking into those. I took a course called Whole Life Healing. It's facilitated by a woman in Michigan named Bethany Perry, and you can take it online as well. She does them seasonally. Megan loves hiking. Yes. Yeah, that's a really great challenge. Dancing, yes. But the Whole Life Healing course really talks about how your whole life is a mirror of each other. And something that's been coming up for me is how you do anything is how you do everything. So throughout this quarantine, I've really been trying to step up and put 110% into everything I do. And that also gives me the room to relax and giving myself permission to have that downtime. Jenna says she loves hiking and dancing as well. Yes, we've got some adventurous boss babes in here. I love that. But I think that if you guys are ready, we can get into the tapping real quick. We got a new message, definitely dancing, some yoga too, love it. So I'm sending a PDF in the chat, but I'm also going to share my screen for you guys. Does anyone have any questions about the tapping? I'm going to go over the points, of course, but I just want to make sure. All right, so this is the tapping prompt. And this one's kind of themed on letting go of those old stories that I was talking about and how we can choose love, choose joy, and see our own worth. So before we dive in, I'm going to have us kind of go over the places that we're tapping. So karate chop can be a few different ways. It can be like this, but basically you're wanting to hit this midline hands here. So that's karate chop. We've got eyebrow. It's going to be on the top of the arch of the brow here. Oh, we've got a question in the chat. Can you go over the basics of what tapping is? Not sure I'm missing. Yeah. So EFT tapping is emotional freedom technique. And it's where we're tapping on the meridian energy points in the body and repeating positive affirmations so that our subconscious will hear it in conjunction with the tapping on the meridians, and it solidifies it a little bit further. So I think this is a really cool tool that really isn't as popular as maybe meditation or breath work might be these days, which is great because we get the chance to explore and have us understand how it makes our body feel. It is energy work, so you are going to want to drink definitely a lot of water, maybe act like you got a massage, but you may experience some tingling after too, which is cool, but I'll get back into the motions. So we've got the karate chop can be this way or this way. You've got the eyebrow at the arch. You got the side of your eye, and you can tap with one hand or two. I think with two is that line of symmetry. We've got under the eye, and then you'll do one hand with under the nose, or you can go like this. And then we've got chin, or you can go like this. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. We've got your collarbone, tapping on the collarbone with 2 hands. Underarm is going to be where your bra strap is. If you're not wearing a bra, just kind of in your midline. After that, we've got top of the head. We can do just one hand or two. And then we go back to eyebrow. So does anybody have any questions before we dive in? We're going to do this 3 times. You can repeat this at home, like to yourself. You don't have to vocalize or turn on your sound here, but I'll lead you guys through it. I think someone's sound might be on. You can just mute yourself just so we don't all feel weird speaking out loud. Thanks. All right, we'll get started and we'll run through this 3 times to really solidify the tapping magic. So even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Looking closer, I can feel overwhelmed. It's easier to ignore the past. It's easier to ignore these events, but they are impacting me daily. Life doesn't feel so easy with these events from the past weighing on me. Maybe I can look closer by being gentle and curious. These events that happened to me, I've used them as proof to hold myself back. The words they said, I've allowed myself to believe them. All of these events, I allow myself to become aware of them and give a voice to how I feel. The story I've been telling myself as to why I can't succeed. I've used these events as evidence that I can't do it, that I'm not enough. Maybe I'm more than these events. Taking my power back from the past. Feeling my power in the moment. These hurtful words from the past, I've allowed them to live on in my mind. What they said was a reflection on them. I release the power these words had on me and begin to listen to my own words that tells me the reasons why I am enough. I listen to my own voice that guides me forward. When I choose love, when I choose joy, when I see my own worth, I am so grateful for my past. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Looking closer, I can feel overwhelmed. It's easier to ignore the past. It's easier to ignore these events, but they are impacting me on the daily. Life doesn't feel so easy with these past events weighing on me. Maybe I can look closer by being gentle and curious. These events that happened to me, I've used them as proof to hold myself back. Those words they said, I've allowed myself to believe them. All these events, I allow myself to become aware of them and give a voice to how I feel. The story I've been telling myself as to why I can't succeed, I've used these events as evidence that I can't do it, that I'm not enough. Maybe I'm more than these events by taking my power back from the past, feeling my power in the moment. These hurtful words from the past, I've allowed them to live on in my mind. What they said was a reflection on them. I release the power these words had on me, and I begin to listen to my own words that tells me all the reasons why I am enough. I listen to my own voice that guides me forward. When I choose love, when I choose joy, when I see my own worth, I am so grateful for my past. Last time, say these words with conviction. Even though I've allowed myself to hold me back, or I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Even though I've allowed these events to hold me back, I love and accept myself. Looking closer, I can feel overwhelmed. It's easier to ignore the past. It's easier to ignore these events, but they're impacting me on the daily. Life doesn't feel so easy with these past events weighing on me. Maybe I can look closer by being gentle and curious. These events that happened to me, I've used them as proof to hold myself back. Those words they said, I've allowed myself to believe them. All these events, I allow myself to become aware of them and give a voice to how I feel. The story I've been telling myself as to why I can't succeed, I've used these events as evidence that I can't do it and that I'm not enough. Maybe I'm more than these events. Taking my power back from the past. Feeling my power in the moment. These hurtful words from the past, I've allowed them to live on in my mind. What they said was a reflection on them. I released the power these words had on me, and I begin to listen to my own words that tells me all the reasons why I am enough. I listen to my own voice that guides me forward. And when I choose love, when I choose joy, when I see my own worth, I am so grateful for my past. Bringing your hands to your heart, closing your eyes and pausing. Maybe recognizing some of the energetic shifts that happened from just the tapping. Then reflecting on the positive words we spoke aloud about ourselves. Letting go of any past traumas or events that may have stifled that light within you. Taking a few deep breaths before we come back to where we are, the space. We have about 5 minutes left, so if you guys would like to ask any questions about the Inner Beauty Alchemy and the tapping, everything that I mentioned, because you guys are a part of this live seminar and Shanila created the IWL. Oh, thank you, Megan. I want to offer you guys a cool thing. So I am being respectful because I really want, oh, thank you guys. I want everybody to feel safe and to feel not as stressed. So I plan to release my next program later in April, once hopefully all this blows over, but it's called Inner Beauty Immersion, and it's diving deeper into the themes I spoke on today, which are, you know, poor body image, poor negative self-talk, and not knowing ourselves, habit of comparison, all these things that we may struggle with. And you'll be able to meditate, have tapping prompts, and some coaching sessions with me. So give me a follow on Instagram if you're looking forward to connecting with me and seeing more. It's awakening.alyssa, but then I also have Aura Awakening on Instagram, which is kind of more of my community platform and sharing about my podcast and all the local happenings in Metro Detroit, which I feel like Metro Detroit's becoming its own little like Portland or Chicago. Like we have our own little tribe and our spunk here, which I'm so grateful for. So I'm glad I was able to give you guys a little taste of that. And yeah, let's see what everybody's saying. This has been wonderful. Thank you. I've been wanting to study EFT. Where did you study the tapping? So Megan, that was included in whole life healing as well. So if you want to find me on Instagram, I think you mentioned the coaching course, interest in that as well. I can give you some info for the next one. She does them seasonally, so probably this summer. Bethany Perry, my mentor, will be launching another one. Thank you so much. Yes, you guys are so welcome. Yeah, it's been so awesome to connect with you guys and hopefully give you a little bit more insight on ways we can alchemize this feeling of, oh crap, what am I going to do for the next 2 weeks, and turn that into positivity and ways we can nourish ourselves. Why I asked that hydrate after this, just because we're moving energy. So if you've ever received Reiki before, you're going to want to hydrate after that. Anytime you're moving energy or doing some kind of body work, you're always going to want to drink extra water just so that your meridian lines and all the energetic points in your body, you know, they tell you after yoga to hydrate too. It's just something to keep in mind, and always drink more water. Oh, thank you, Shanila, for putting all the links here.
So
Perfect.
I'm dropping all of her information down here. Holistic life coach, founder of Our Awakening. Her IG's out here, awakening.alyssa, and then her website. You can find her program down there. As she said, it's going to launch in April, so definitely go check it out. There's definitely a lot of stuff about inner beauty, inner alchemy, self-love, self-care, EFT tapping, a lot of manifestation, a lot of that in there. And because we're, you know, this is a free event, we always mention a little Venmo. So if you feel inclined to leave a Venmo donation to Our Awakening, the any energy exchange goes right to our presenters. So this is up to you, no pressure, nothing like that. And yeah, and we also have a bunch of new events coming up later this week on wellset.co/events. So definitely check it out. We have programming coming on and on. And yes, she just dropped down the program link, awesome. And her podcast is awesome. Thank you so much. And leave any questions you have. We definitely have a few more minutes to chat. A lot of people are saying they've been wanting to study EFT. So where did you study? You mentioned that. And so I wondered, how did you discover EFT?
Yeah, definitely the OG of EFT. Her name's Jessica Ortner, but there's a book called EFT Tapping for Weight Loss. And that was one of the things that I got into personal development, because I was like, I don't want to start with like crash dieting and all that. I want to start with like learning more holistic tools to truly enhance this energy. And it definitely helped with just overall body confidence with the book. But there's another woman named Gala Darling that offers so many great tapping prompts. Like, she's becoming kind of the OG in her own way of tapping. So definitely check her out. But I like creating custom ones in programs that are like themed for my clients, and meditations as well. I love creating guided meditations. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was such a pleasure to be